If you know me from my Discord channel or paid close attention to my videos, then my disdain for the Nintendo remake Metroid 2 Samus Returns should be plain as day. I make no secret that it's one of my least favorite entries in the series. Whilst the game has many failings, from the goddamn Game of Metroid fights and how they run away constantly, to how they force you to backtrack at the end of the game with Baby to get 100% items, and bosses with so much HP bloat you could choke an elephant. However, I think the worst moment this remake delivers is at the very end of the game, and how it detracts from the beautiful, introspective, and character-defining ending that was the original Metroid 2. So, let's talk about how the original game handled it. Samus has just defeated the Queen Metroid and discovered the final infant Metroid on SR388. Instead of simply killing it and successfully eradicating the entire species as she was hired to do, she decides that killing what's ultimately an innocent child is wrong and spares its life. We then get this silent moment as Samus ascends the last cliffs of SR388 to return to her ship. For comparison's sake, I also think the fan remake AM2R also did this scene masterfully. Just take a listen to the vibe that's given off under the night sky of the planet. The point of this scene is to have both Samus and the player reflect on what they just did. Certainly Samus has exterminated other races, notably the Ing and the Phazon, but both of those were intrinsically, inherently malicious entities themselves. Meanwhile, the Metroids had done nothing wrong. They were used and abused against their will, and because of the actions of the pirates, they were consigned to death. It is a moment to reflect on the morality of this choice. So then, what did the Nintendo remake do that was so bad that I called it lost in translation? Well, two things. The first is that if you want to 100% the game, you have to grab the baby Metroid, then turn around and go back through the entire game to find these items. I mean, who thought this was a good idea? From a gameplay standpoint, it basically destroys the momentum of the game dead in its tracks. You're at the end and you have to backtrack? No other Metroid game makes you do this. From a story standpoint, it makes sense like she spared the Metroid less out of mercy and more to rake in the big bucks. But even that isn't the biggest flaw with Samus Returns, no. Because at least all of that is optional. What isn't optional is the final boss of this game, Proteus Ridley. Now let me say this right now. The fight in isolation is a great one of the better Ridley bosses in Metroid in general. I want to make it clear that my problem with the Proteus Ridley fight isn't anything about its mechanics. Instead, it's purely story-based. Remember the introspective ending to the original we just talked about? Well, that gets completely and utterly steamrolled by this boss fight. Gone is the moral dilemma and reflection of dubious choices for Samus and the player, all crushed under the weight of a 5-minute boss fight. Gone was the calm night under the SR388 stars, replaced by this hideous green vomit-colored storm with no sense of atmosphere. That is why the ending of the original was lost in translation, and another reason I prefer AM2R to Samus Returns. So how would I have fixed it? I'm complaining a lot. What is my solution? Well, it's simple. Have Ridley scramble for the Metroid whilst it's still an egg. Have it hatch, and in a fateful decision, it imprints on Samus and helps drive off Ridley. Samus sees that maybe Metroids aren't all slavering evil creatures, but can be used for good, thus leading to the infamous sparing scene. Then after that, let Samus and the baby have their fateful walk under the night sky like the original, with the summer music and everything, and end the game. Nintendo could have easily structured it like that and improved the game dramatically. But they didn't, and well, you can't rewrite time. Well, that's all for my rant for today. Do you agree with my take, or do you have something else to say about it? Let me know down in the comments below, but you know how I leave you. Be safe, be wise, and please pray for a true peace in space.